Hello, welcome to another video of Vino del Vida. My name is Damian, and in this video we will be talking a little bit about Malbec and Merlot. Please remember, if you watch the other videos that I made, you already know this, but I am not a sommelier or a winemaker. I am a wine enthusiast. I know a few things about wine. I have a wine tour company in Argentina and also in Uruguay. So please remember that this is my opinion, although I have done my research. So Malbec and Merlot are both from the same region in France. The region is called Bordeaux. You know, the French wines are all blends. So in the Bordeaux region, they use mainly three different grapes, which are Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Cabernet Franc. They also use, in less proportion, Petit Verdot, and even less, around 2 or 3%, they use sometimes Malbec and Carmenère. So both wines came from the same region, but Malbec is almost not used in making the Bordeaux blend. Malbec was popular in Bordeaux, but in the 1950s there was a big frost and almost all of the vineyards were killed and never replanted again. Nowadays you can find Malbec in France, but in another region, which is like 100 miles at the east of Bordeaux, and that region is called Cahors. So I think we all have watched movies from France, and you can see that the landscape is green, hilly, not rainy but humid. Well, that doesn't happen in Mendoza and in the other provinces in Argentina where the vineyards are located. The weather is completely different. It's a desert area, mountain region, a few raindrops. And for example, on average in Mendoza, you have 300 days a year of sunlight. So Malbec, when it was introduced, it quickly became very popular because it was very good. It's excellent. The taste was really, really nice. And the weather is better. You know, this happened for all kinds of wines, that depending on the region is how the wine will taste. So Malbec is the most famous wine in Argentina, the most popular, and nowadays is the icon wine of Argentina. Every year in April 17, we celebrate the Malbec World Day, and that is because in 1853 the first vineyards were introduced in Mendoza in a kind of experimental agronomic school, and that was the time when it started to be produced. Malbec is a very easy to drink wine. The tannins are soft, not aggressive, silky, and the colors, no matter what, if the wine is a young wine or a reserva wine, and the color will be bright and intense. And in the young wine, the colors are mostly bluish or violet, and as the wine gets older, the color will be brownish, will tend to be brown, but they will keep having a bright color and also the intense of the color. Malbec flavor is mainly plum, and this is a characteristic, the aroma, the flavor that all Malbec will have. It doesn't matter if the wine is young, and if the wine has been aged in oak barrel, you will also taste other things like chocolate, coffee, truffles. And even so, if the wine was also aged in a cellar in the bottle for a few months or a few years, you will have other taste, other flavors that goes from chocolate, leather, roasted almonds, and perhaps cinnamon. So keep in mind that these wine flavors changes happens to all wines when you age a wine in oak barrel. So perhaps you may heard that a lot of wine has like vanilla, chocolate, tobacco, and that is because the oak barrel is adding other properties to the wine. But coming back to Malbec, I think part of the success that Malbec has is because it's a very gentle wine. It's very easy to drink. The tannins are balanced, and this means that the tannins, you won't have a dry mouth feeling after drinking Malbec, even in the young wines or in the Reserva wines. You won't feel aggressive the wine like perhaps Cabernet Sauvignon or Shiraz. In a few words, I describe Malbec like a fruity wine, plum flavors, silky tannins, very easy to drink, and very gentle wine. We pair Malbec with all kind of Argentine food. More or less, for having an idea, you can pair young Malbec with pasta, also with low-fat meat, and bigger Malbec or oaked Malbec with a more greasy red meat like beef or even asados, or as we call it, asados are barbecue. This grill filled with all different type of meat. So bigger Malbec goes very well paired with those. A little bit about Merlot. Merlot is from Bordeaux region. In that region in France is the most produced wine for producing the blends. Besides that, Merlot is the second largest produced wine around the world after Cabernet Sauvignon. And this is because Merlot has been very well adapted around the world to different type of weathers. So you can easily find Merlot anywhere in the world. Italy, Spain, the US, Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, South Africa, New Zealand, almost everywhere you can get a Merlot. Usually Merlot prefers cooler climate than Malbec. You can find lovely Merlot in Argentina, from the southern part of Mendoza, and also in the Patagonia region. Usually people describe Merlot like it's not as big and aggressive like Cabernet Sauvignon, and it isn't as light as Pinot Noir. Merlot is a very easy to drink wine, very friendly. It doesn't need a lot of time in oak barrels for showing his potential. For example, one of the most expensive wines around the world, the Petrus, is produced with Merlot. For having an idea, the price of 5,000 US dollars could be considered a good price for that wine. The Merlot color will be mostly red ruby color. Merlot has a medium intensity flavor, low acidity, soft tannins. Merlot has herbal notes, cherry, black cherry flavor, red pepper, green pepper are the most, also truffle are the most flavors that you will get from a Merlot. Merlot has been planted and produced around the world, and the flavors, the aromas will be different. But keep in mind that in the old world, the old world of wines are basically Europe, the north part of Africa, and the Middle East. In that region, the grapes are usually picked earlier, so you will taste green notes. And in the new world, all the other countries, we tend to pick the grapes a little later, so the wines will be more fruity. So coming back to Merlot from Argentina, what you will taste the most are red and green pepper. Merlot are very well paired with, for example, salmon, tuna fish, risottos, soft cheese, and light meat, not very greasy meat. So, like this video was mainly from Malbec and Merlot from Argentina. If you really want to learn about the difference, my invitation is that you go to a wine shop and you get 2 bottles of one of Malbec, one of Merlot, but try to keep this in mind. Try to buy the same wine label from the same winery. So in that way, try to do this with wines, with young wines, with wines that doesn't have any aged time in oak barrel, because this will be easier. If you buy a Reserva wine, you are adding extra flavors added by the oak, and it will be more difficult for you to taste what is the main characteristic of the grape. If you are not an expert, this is an easy way to get more in deep knowledge about the wine. That is how I did it, besides being in wine tasting, of course. But try to get 2 wines from the same winery, the same label, and try to do that with young wines. And try to pay attention when you are tasting the wine, and that is how you will make a record in your mind of the flavor. Perhaps it's more difficult to explain the flavors, but surely your body will know more than your mind regarding the taste and what you like the most and what you don't like. So enjoy.